A strong hold over current affairs is your way to succeed in the UPSC Civil Services examination. Brace yourself and get detailed coverage of relevant news both nationally and internationally. With the monthly current affairs revision program starting from 26th October at 5 p.m. Enroll today and elevate your current affairs knowledge with comprehensive coverage of current affairs compiled through relevant sources such as the Hindu Indian Express, Economic Times, PIB Yojana, and others. Expert support and personalized mentoring. Comprehensive assessment through MCQs and mains-oriented questions.
Hello and welcome to this edition of News Today. Without delay, let's have a look at the headlines first. Nobel Prize in Chemistry 2024 awarded for work on protein research. National Space Panel clears India's 5th lunar mission, Lunar Polar Exploration Mission. United Nations Population Fund recognizes India's progress in advancing maternal health and family planning. Government extends supply of fortified rice across welfare schemes until 2028. Cabinet approves development of National Maritime Heritage Complex at Lothal, Gujarat. 2024 Forest Declaration Assessment, Forest Under Fire report released. In exciting news, the 2024 Nobel Prize in Chemistry has been awarded for groundbreaking work on protein research. This year's prestigious award goes to David Baker for his work in computational protein design, and to Demis Hassabis and John M. Jumper for their achievements in protein structure prediction. Now, let's delve into the remarkable contributions of these scientists. Demis Hassabis and John Jumper tackled a problem that has puzzled researchers for 50 years. Predicting complex structure of proteins, that is, how proteins fold into the shapes that give them their functions. They utilized artificial intelligence to create a model called AlphaFold 2. With this technology, they successfully predicted the structure of virtually all 200 million proteins using just their amino acid sequences. Moving on to David Baker's work, he didn't just predict protein structures but went a step further. He pioneered the creation of entirely new proteins with unique shapes and functions. His computer program Rosetta offers suggestions for amino acid sequences that produce specific protein structures, opening up possibilities for creating new proteins from scratch. So what does this mean for the world? These advances in protein design have numerous applications. From pharmaceuticals and vaccines to nanomaterials and even breaking down plastics, these custom-designed proteins have the potential to revolutionize various fields. Now, a quick overview of proteins themselves. Proteins are large complex molecules that control and drive the chemical reactions essential for life. A protein is made up of one or more long folded chains of amino acids, each called a polypeptide, whose sequences are determined by DNA sequence of protein encoding gene. These molecules play a vital role in the structure, function, and regulation of our body's tissues and organs. Additionally, protein serves as hormones, antibodies, and building blocks of various tissues.
In a significant leap for India's space ambitions, the National Space Panel has cleared the country's 5th lunar mission, Lunar Polar Exploration Mission or LUPEX. This mission is a crucial step towards India's goal of not only returning lunar samples but also sending the first Indian to the moon by 2040. The LUPEX mission, a collaboration between the Indian Space Research Organization and Japan's space agency JAXA, is designed to explore the dark side of the moon. Now, this dark side refers to the far side of the moon, which is never visible from Earth due to the tidal locking of the moon with our planet. The mission's primary objective is to investigate the presence, quantity, and quality of water ice on the lunar surface, a resource that could one day support future human exploration. While ISRO will be responsible for the lunar rover, JAXA will build the lander. Additionally, observation instruments from NASA and the European Space Agency will be mounted on the rover, further enhancing its capabilities for in-depth scientific analysis. The LUPEX rover is set to land near the moon's south pole, a region believed to hold significant water reserves in its permanently shadowed craters. However, landing at the South Pole presents unique challenges. as the area offers very few flat landing sites, limited illumination, and communication difficulties. India, however, already made history by becoming the first country to land on the moon's south pole with Chandrayaan-3 in 2023. In a momentous recognition, the United Nations Population Fund, or UNFPA, has acknowledged India's remarkable progress in advancing maternal health and family planning. This recognition came during an event celebrating the 50-year partnership between the UNFPA and the Government of India. The UNFPA, the United Nations Sexual and Reproductive Health Agency, hailed India's efforts, which have been driven by key initiatives like the Surakshit Maitritva Ashwasan Yojana, or SUMAN. Under SUMAN, women and newborns are assured of dignified, respectful, and quality healthcare services free of cost, with a strict policy of zero tolerance for service denial at public health facilities. Another vital program, the Pradhan Mantri Surakshit Maitritva Abhiyan, provides comprehensive antenatal care to pregnant women, ensuring health monitoring during pregnancy is accessible to all. Additionally, India's Midwifery Services Initiative aims to train 90,000 midwives who are expected to handle 90% of all sexual, reproductive, maternal, newborn, and adolescent health needs. India's achievements in maternal health and family planning are significant. The country has reduced its maternal mortality rate by 70% between 2000 and 2020, bringing it down to 97 deaths per 1 lakh live births. This positions India well on track to meet the Sustainable Development Goal target of reducing MMR to below 70 by 2030. India's total fertility rate has also dropped to 2.0 in 2020, below the replacement level fertility of 2.1. Furthermore, in 2019-21 period, 89% of women delivered in health facilities, up from 79% in 2015 and 16. And the infant mortality rate has also decreased from 39 in 2014 to 28 in 2020.
In a major step towards combating malnutrition, the government has extended the supply of fortified rice under various welfare schemes, including the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana until 2028. Now, let's talk about rice fortification. It involves adding fortified rice kernels containing micronutrients like iron, folic acid, and vitamin B12 to normal rice, that is custom milled rice, as per standards prescribed by FSSAI. Fortification is the addition of key vitamins and minerals to staple foods such as rice, wheat, oil, milk, and salt to improve their nutritional content and combat malnutrition. So how did this initiative start? Launched in 2022, the rollout of fortified rice across welfare schemes was completed in March 2024 after 3 phases. The rationale behind this initiative is simple yet impactful. First, combating malnutrition. Fortification is a cost-effective way to tackle anemia and micronutrient malnutrition, issues that affect a significant portion of India's population. Second, higher reach. Rice is an ideal vehicle for supplying micronutrients as it is a staple food for 65% of India's population. Now, which schemes are covered under this initiative? Some key welfare programs include the Targeted Public Distribution System, Integrated Child Development Services, and PM Poshan, formerly known as the Midday Meal Scheme. All these programs ensure that beneficiaries receive fortified rice across all states and union territories. Importantly, this is a central sector initiative fully funded by the government as part of the food subsidy component under PMGKAY, benefiting 81.35 crore people. But why is this initiative so important? Let's take a look at anemia. It's a condition where the red blood cell count or hemoglobin concentration is lower than normal, and it has been a persistent issue in India. According to the National Family Health Survey 5, that is 2019 to 21, a staggering 57% of women aged 15 to 49 years, 59% of adolescent girls aged 15 to 19 years, and 67% of children aged 6 to 59 months are anemic. To tackle this, the government has been implementing the Anemia Mukt Bharat strategy, targeting vulnerable age groups and aiming to reduce the prevalence of this condition.
In a major push to preserve and promote India's rich maritime heritage, the Union Cabinet has approved the development of the National Maritime Heritage Complex at Lothal, Gujarat. The project is being developed under the Sagarmala program by the Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways. The National Maritime Heritage Complex aims to be the largest of its kind in the world, showcasing India's long and diverse maritime history. Lothal, a site of great historical significance, was once a bustling port city of the Indus Valley civilization, located between the Bhogavo and Sabarmati rivers near the Gulf of Khambat. Dating back to around 2400 BC, Lothal is home to the world's oldest known man-made dry dock, offering fascinating insights into the ancient knowledge of tides, winds, and navigation. The NMHC will include a world-class lighthouse museum, pavilions representing India's coastal states, and a maritime-themed eco-resort, among other attractions. This ambitious project will not only highlight India's maritime legacy, but also become a major tourist destination. India's maritime heritage dates back thousands of years. As early as 3000 BC, the Indus Valley civilization engaged in maritime trade with Mesopotamia. The Rig Veda, one of India's oldest texts, contains references to maritime activities during the Vedic age. The navy of the Magad kingdom, under the Nandas and Mauryas, is considered the world's first recorded naval force. Indian rulers like the Satvahan and Guptas further strengthened maritime trade, while the Maratha Navy under Shivaji became a formidable force in the 17th century, boasting over 500 ships. Southern dynasties like the Cholas, Cheras, and Pandyas were also known for their maritime prowess, as was the Vijayanagar Empire. This complex will serve as a living testament to that rich history.
In a significant development for global environmental efforts, the 2024 Forest Declaration Assessment Forest Under Fire report has been released, highlighting critical goals and the progress made in conserving our planet's forests. The report focuses on tracking the overarching forest goals, that is, eliminating deforestation and forest degradation and restoring 30% of degraded forest area by 2030. These goals have been established by international commitments like the New York Declaration on Forest 2014, Glasgow Leaders Declaration 2021, and the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework 2022. So what are the goals we are aiming for? The report underscores two major targets: eliminating deforestation and forest degradation and restoring 30% of degraded forest areas by 2030. However, the progress so far has been concerning. In 2023, deforestation covered 6.37 million hectares for surpassing the target of 4.38 million hectares. As a result, 3.8 billion metric tons of carbon dioxide were emitted, making deforestation the fourth highest emitter globally, behind China, the US, and India. The report also highlights the loss of tree cover in key biodiversity areas. Over 1.4 million hectares of forested KBAs were lost in 2023 alone. Another pressing concern is forest fires. In terms of controlling forest fire, the report reveals that nearly one-third of the area lost to fires in 2001 burned between 2019 to 2023. And what about restoring degraded landscapes? The goal of restoring 30% of degraded and deforested areas by 2030 remains far from being met. In fact, only about 18% of the Bond Challenge's 2020 target has been achieved, with around 150 million hectares restored between 2000 and 2019. So what's driving all this deforestation? The report points to agricultural commodity production, which accounts for 57% of global deforestation over the past 2 decades. In addition, shifting agriculture in primary forests led to the loss of 15.9 million hectares of primary forests between 2015 and 2023. Meanwhile, mining activities in tropical moist forests have doubled from 2000 to 2019, exacerbating the situation further. So what can be done to reverse these trends? The report offers some key recommendations. Firstly, all forests need protection, but the focus should be on primary and intact ecosystems. Large-scale efforts must be made to restore 30% of degraded ecosystems, while progress is monitored and reported transparently. Governments should also recognize that altered fire patterns are human-induced phenomenon and adapt strategies accordingly. Finally, Key biodiversity areas along with other high-value forests should be prioritized within global and national conservation efforts.
In today's Place in News, we will talk about South Africa. It has three capitals, Pretoria as its executive, Cape Town as legislative, and Bloemfontein as its judicial capital. Recently, INS Talwar reached South Africa to participate in IBSAMAR 8, a joint multinational maritime exercise among Indian, Brazilian, and South African Navy. Let's discuss its political features. It is a southernmost country in Africa. Its bordering countries are Namibia, Botswana, and Zimbabwe in the north, Mozambique in northeast, Eswatini in the east, and Lesotho an enclave in the east. It shares its maritime boundaries with Indian Ocean and Atlantic Ocean. In terms of its geographical features, it is home to Drakensberg mountain ranges, and major rivers are Limpopo and Orange. It has plateaus covered with rolling grasslands called highveld and tree-dotted plains called bushveld. The plateau lands are surrounded by a mountainous region called Great Escarpment.
As we wrap up today's bulletin, let's have a look at some quick updates. National Commission for Backward Classes tendered advice to Union Government for inclusion of certain castes from Maharashtra in the central list of OBCs. Article 342A empowers the President to specify socially and educationally backward classes for states and union territories. Taiwan's Navy recently claimed that China's military is employing an anaconda strategy to constrict the island. Anaconda strategy refers to a military strategy proposed by Union General Winfield Scott during early stages of the American Civil War. Department of Post India has released commemorative postage stamps to mark the 150th anniversary of the Universal Postal Union. India Post, world's largest postal network, is also observing 170 years of its formation. To encourage wider adoption of Unified Payments Interface or UPI, RBI enhances transaction limits for UPI 123 Pay, UPI Lite. It was started in March 2022 to enable feature phone users to use UPI. Reserve Bank of India has proposed to create the Reserve Bank Climate Risk Information System. It will be a data repository comprising of two parts. First part will be a web-based directory listing various data sources, meteorological, geospatial, etc. And the second part will be a data portal accessible only to regulated entities comprising of standardized datasets. World Wildlife Fund released the latest edition of its biennial Living Planet report. Wildlife population declined by 73% over the past 50 years, that is 1970 to 2020. Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation released annual CAMS July 2022 to June 2023 report conducted as part of 79th round of National Sample Survey. According to its finding, 97.8% households have toilet facilities and 95.7% have access to improved sources of drinking water. Researchers documented a new kind of sedimentary rock made from coastal slag deposits in the UK. Slag is a composite material containing metal oxides and silicon dioxide and is a byproduct of the steel making process in the iron and steel industries. Before we sign off, let's challenge your understanding in today's installment of Test Your Knowledge. Thank you for joining us. We hope you found this episode of News Today engaging. For the solution to the quiz and to access the PDF version of News Today, remember to visit the provided links in the description below.